Look at that fucking guy's picture. Ha! Wow. Rhyno. Ready to talk to Rhyno, Jay?
Let's give him a call.
I believe we are at the time, so let's do it. Rhyno from the WWE.
Your call has been forwarded.
Mr. Rhinoceros.
Terry, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, buddy.
Good.
Yeah, that was Glenn Jacobs, campaign manager.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You getting back in the game?
probably. But he's they wanted to interview me for like they're doing a piece on him, and they wanted to interview me. So
And you said, I can't do it. The Detroit cast is on the line.
exactly. Well, no, not right now. Like tomorrow, they wanted to set it up. So.
Well,
I told him to go through you. You guys got my schedule. You booked my schedule.
Yeah,
so.
we've been trying to get you on for a long time. Thanks for taking the time, dude. We really
anytime.
appreciate it. I guess we'll call you Rhyno. Most people will know you as the WWE
Terry,
wrestler.
whatever.
Terry or Rhyno.
Yeah.
We will not call you Mr. Rhinoceros, as some people have said.
That's a formal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's too formal. Well, dude, what an interesting life. Local guy and pro wrestler, trying to become a pro politician on some level, too. Probably two of the careers that terrify me the most, to be honest with you. Seriously, man. Why?
Yeah, you got to be an extrovert.
Yeah.
It terrifies many people.
Yeah.
Occupations like that, whether you're getting slammed in the ring or you're slamming someone in the political arena.
This is probably going to sound like a dumb question, but when we think of growing up as kids and playing sports, there's sporting leagues for soccer and football and baseball. But Jay and I are sitting here going, how do you even start in wrestling? Like, what is the how do you even get into it?
Well, amateur wrestling, like in high school and Olympic style, there's clubs, there's city leagues. I think it's grown a lot since. I want to say mid 90s, especially in the Detroit area. Something like Iowa, I mean, that's always been a hot spot for wrestling. So I'm sure they've had city leagues and stuff like that, several decades ago. But I've really seen the growth of it since the mid 90s in the Detroit area. So, they start them out as early as 5 years old.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's funny because a couple of my buddies, their kids, are involved in city leagues and stuff, and they have tournaments, and you'll go and watch, and you'll see these 5-year-old kids, and it's boys and girls. So
they're like little bear
you
cubs.
see these, it's funny watching them walk around their singlets and their headgear and their wrestling shoes, and they just drank a bunch of juice and. They got that juice belly, like little kids have. but some of them are very talented too.
When do you start doing like the wrestling that you do, though? Not just like
pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Some schools, some pro wrestling schools, they may start, guys or girls out before they're 18, but they have to have a consenting adult sign off on it. The legit schools. So. I don't see anybody getting into it earlier than 16 years old. Maybe if you're a second generation or third generation wrestler, you've grown up around the business, so you might start earlier, but under the guidance of your parent.
So what was your road then personally to pro wrestling? Did you start out in clubs and Olympic style and all that?
Yeah, I started out in high school. Our junior high didn't have a wrestling program, so my freshman year, I went out for the team, made the team, and it was really nice because we've always had a very good program at our high school. Seeing that we didn't have a city league or a junior high, like a breeding system. So, but we really had good coaches, and, they knew how to do their jobs, and they did it well.
And a lot of people will think of, your start on the pro wrestling scene as you're taking part in ECW. I assume there were some more minor leagues prior to that, but then you really hit an ECW in 99, right?
Right. I was wrestling for almost 5 years. or no, just under 4 years. I'm sorry, almost 4 years when I got picked up by ECW. And I was wrestling overseas in Germany for Otto Wanz, and then, doing a lot of tours like out in Winnipeg. But yeah, a lot of independent shows where you're making a couple bucks, if that.
Well, I was watching yesterday, as we were preparing to talk to you, I was watching the 100 greatest wrestling takedowns. And congrats, the gore was in there.
I love the gore.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll talk about the gore coming up here. It's fucking badass, dude. I love the gore.
Thank you.
I couldn't believe some of the things I was watching. Like Jay and I were into wrestling when we were kids. George the Animal Steel and early Hulk Hogan stuff.
Jim Duggan.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. And they were entertaining as hell and fun to watch. But dude, watching some of the stuff that's going on nowadays,
the athleticism is ramped up. I'd say
it's unbelievable to me. And I'm not even kidding. I don't know how you guys walk out of the ring.
Yeah, and the ring is definitely not a trampoline. I wish it was.
Yeah.
My body would have less miles on it. But it's definitely a lot different than back then. The guys and women, when I was watching it as a kid, they really knew how to dig into the fans' emotion. And you have to have the fans emotionally involved because when they care about you, they're going to watch. When they care about you, they're going to go to the show. When they care about you, they're going to buy your T-shirt, and sometimes on TV, because it's such a fast-paced product, you don't have that TV time. So whatever little time you have, you need to really emotionally you have to have that emotional connection with the fans. And I think, me being around for so long, I have an emotional connection right off the bat, but whatever little TV time or, depending on what it is, whether it's 3 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I just need to really reinforce that emotional connection we have and try and dig it deeper.
Going back to ECW, that afforded you a lot more leeway in terms of the shit you could do. Do you miss Do you miss that rawer format?
I like to joke around and say I put ECW Rhyno, I locked them up, and deep down inside, and I swear I'd never let it come out to play because it could be really bad. Even though the fans want ECW Rhyno to come out and play. You ever watch, what was it, Talladega Nights?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
When that one scene where he's like, hey, he asked Ricky Bobby if he could win. Dale, I think his name was. The character I'm talking about, the guy I'm talking about.
Yeah,
curly hair.
Yeah, the curly hair dude is his buddy, yeah.
I forget his name. But anyways, he's like asking him if he could win.
Yeah.
And
He wants to win
Will
one
Ferrell's
race.
character. Yeah. Will Ferrell's character. Well, how could I win? I want you to take that feeling, bury it deep down inside, and lock it. Never let it come out again.
Funny.
I like to joke around and say that's what I did with the ECW Rhyno. Well, it was funny. Someone posted because I pile drove Sandman's wife through a table and gored him and her.
I know. Yeah. I just watched that last night too.
And then I wished her a happy effing Mother's Day and then called her the B word. And I'm thinking to myself, one, that won't fly anymore, even on pay-per-view. And
that had to be fun as hell, though, to be kind of a villain, more of a heel character.
I think so, because it's easier to be hated than loved.
Yeah.
One character I really like is Miz and his wife. They're just such a to watch them live. I don't do any justice, And when they show up to the arena, they're always dressed really nice. They're, and just to watch them go out in the ring and cut the promo before the match, it's very entertaining, and they do it in such a way where I think they work well together, and they really are married. A lot of people ask me, are they married? Yeah, they're married. So.
Yeah, and the Miz got his start on the Real World, interestingly.
Yeah.
And you guys, there's more than one way to make it in this business, that's for sure.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I give him credit because he worked his butt off, and he got a lot of slack coming in because he came in from the Real World. So I think he's so talented. I think he's a draw. I think he's I laugh when he goes out there and he cuts promos. And if I was a wrestling fan, well, I mean, a part of me still is a wrestling fan, but like I would be that guy in the front row agreeing with every word he said.
Yes.
I'd be like, if you think I'm an idiot, then I'm an idiot, but I'm on your side, and people, you need to settle down. Mrs. Talk.
Going back to the ECW days with this Extreme Championship Wrestling, were you guys paid well for that stuff? I mean, the abuse you took, and was that
not really? Yeah. I think you were paid very little. There was 2 tiers. There was very little, or you were paid, good. Yeah. So my first year, I was paid very little, and my second year, I was paid enough to live off of. I didn't have to have a second job.
Mm-hmm. Do you like, by the way, that the WWE nowadays is, and it probably has a lot to do with injuries and concussion worries, that it's gone more PG, or is that maybe for the kids too? Do you like that it's gone more PG and less blood and
well,
stuff like
I
that?
think you always have to remember and watch. Wrestling kind of follows the roller coaster of society, and for a while. The country became more politically correct. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a combination of that. I think it's a combination of gearing the product towards kids. Because let's face it, wrestling still tells that story, good versus evil. Evil looks like evil's going to win, but good prevails as long as you stay true to the values.
Yeah.
So in the 90s, I mean, there were certain things going on, in DC. I don't really like to mention, but,
talking about Monica Lewinsky type stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I think that in the attitude era, people were just like, all right, let me loosen my collar. Let me, stick my middle finger up in the air. Let me not just give a F for a few minutes. And, let me just go out there and scream at the top of my lungs, And I think we became a little more reserved and a little more politically correct as a society, or it was shoved, on us to be more politically correct.
Yeah, sure.
I think people, I've traveled the world. I've traveled this country. I mean, the rural areas of this country, and people, they just want to live their lives, and they're good natured people. And, whether you have a faith, or you don't, a lot of people their moral compass is legit. And, they don't have any intentions to be ill will towards others. But I think it just came such a big scope, and it was just forced on us when we're not doing anything wrong, a large majority of, Americans. So I think now you're going to see people kind of loosen their collar and say, okay, yeah. I can scream at the top of my lungs again.
Hey, speaking of the WWE, you left in 2005 due to a personal issue. I don't know if you're comfortable talking.
Fired.
Yeah, I don't know if you're comfortable talking about why that was.
I don't mind discussing that. My ex-wife and I, we were going through a divorce, and we get along great. And what I was struggling with is because my ex-wife was from Germany. She never, she missed her family and friends in Germany. And the thing I was struggling with is, do I let her go back over there? Because in the state of Michigan, I don't know how other states are, you cannot take a child more than 100 miles away from the father, and you can't take them across the state line. So if I lived close to a border, they couldn't cross that border. And looking back, I would say 1 minute, yes, you can go, because I knew it would be better for her and for my daughter, because a happy mother reflects on the child, so if I would have kept her over here, then she wouldn't have anybody, including myself.
Yeah.
And my ex-wife did not dislike the country. She just missed Germany. She missed her friends. She missed her family. And she really did try to fit in. But it's just one of those things. So I was struggling with that. And, it just came to a head. Mm-hmm. I was drinking a little bit, and she said something that got under my skin, but I'm responsible for my own action. The next thing you know, I'm picking up, and it wasn't a flower pot. It was a potted tree.
Yeah, I read flower pot.
I heard flower pot too.
Corrected the record on
that. Dreamer looks at me like this. He goes, "Why the F did you do that?" His exact words, Tommy Dreamer, he goes, "Why the F did you do that?" Impressive, but why? I was mad, and I mean, I wanted to hit something, obviously you don't lay a hand on a woman, or you don't raise your hand towards a woman
unless you're in the ring.
So that was out of the question. There was no wall to punch that wasn't cement.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, so I was just so frustrated.
And that'll get you fired throwing a potted tree, the WWE. Well, I mean, that's kind of
at WrestleMania.
Well, yeah, okay.
In the lobby
while drinking,
when there were a lot of people around.
Yeah.
So
they probably thought it was part of the show. You could have played that off.
Yeah. I would have been like, "Hey, the guy told me to. They said we were filming. What?
Yeah, it was part of what I was supposed to do.
I thought, am I being punked? Come on."
Well, you obviously keep up the wrestling during the period that you're out then from the WWE between 2005 and 2015, but you do return to WWE. And what were the circumstances of that? I mean, does that come from the top? Vince McMahon obviously letting you back in. I mean, how does that conversation go?
I'll try to make this as short as possible. I worked with TNA for 7 years. After that, they released me because they were doing cuts. Nothing because any type of behavior, any type of nothing. Yeah. And I wasn't really making that much. So then I knew what I wanted to do. I knew where I wanted to go. So just persistence. I was on the Indies. I worked with Ring of Honor for about 2.5, 3 years. I was doing everything right. And, just kept my nose to the grindstone. And it was in December and January were always slow. And this was January of 2015. True story. And I don't really talk too much about religion, but I was away from it for a while, but I would try to go every Sunday for, ever since my daughter was born, try to, show her structure and, give her some faith and stuff. So, but anyways, for some reason, and this is, talking to WWE over the last 5 years and just, we don't have anything for you, and that story. Right. So all of a sudden I just had this feeling inside, that feeling when you want to go right, but it tells you to go left, that feeling like go left. It's just like, cause I'd wake up early, do my work, do runarounds, put about an 8-hour day in, getting stuff done. Right. So anyways, it just said, go to church. And I went to church, 6:30 mass. I was an altar boy as a kid, so I knew when the mass schedule. And it hasn't changed all these years, right? So I'm like driving to church going, I hope they didn't change the schedule. There's a thing called the internet. I could look it up, but I can at least say, hey, God, do I get brownie points?
Yeah, I did show up.
So anyways, I went and that was it, right? And any of your listeners that go to church, I know sometimes Sunday mass can drag on. If you go during the week, it's usually wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Short
it's just
and punchy.
Yeah, in and out. Like I look and I'm like, this is like 25 minutes.
They've
shortened it up.
Yeah,
they've shortened it up since I was an altar boy. So anyways, so the next day, sure enough, same thing, so I just kept on going the days that I'm home. And 2.5 weeks later, Chrono calls me up. He goes, you want to come down to NXT? I'm like, yeah, sure. And that was it. And then I went down there and they go, hey, we're bringing you back next week to do some more tapings. And then I'm like, and I told Road Dogg, I thought it was just a one-time deal. That's what they booked me for. I go, let's make sure this first check cashes and then we'll talk about next week. And he told me, he goes, this is an ECW. The checks here are good. I go, okay, I'll see you next week.
Nice.
So,
what do you attribute that to then? Prayer, the power of prayer, or just living right, or what?
Faith, and that it's funny because DiBiase, he's very spiritual and religious.
Ted DiBiase.
And after the show on the way back to London, I drove with DiBiase and we were having a good conversation on his beliefs and how he feels, and he never pushed anything on. And that's when like someone pushes something on you, I kind of reject myself, and a lot of people do. That's why I try never to push it on people. But I have a feeling, because there was a period in my life where I drank a lot, And there was a couple situations where I think someone was definitely looking out for me. I really don't talk about that too much, but some people do know. But I mean, I was drinking like 3/5 a day.
Holy
shit.
Whoa.
Yeah, and sometimes 4. And I remember one time, and it wasn't just drinking. I was self-medicating.
Yeah.
It was so bad. It was the dark point of my life. But I think if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I don't know if I'm an alcoholic or not. In 2009, I just said, you know what, I'm done with it. And here's another thing. I swear to God, I kneeled down in front of the biggest cross I've ever seen. I can't tell you where this church is to this day. I can tell you locker rooms, building. And it is a church. I'm not saying it's not out there. It's somewhere in Michigan. And I just said, I go, you know what? I give up. I can't do it, because a couple times I just quit for a month and then, I can do it. And then I told DiBiase about this. He goes, that's called surrendering. And I've heard of people surrender, but I never really put 2 and 2 together. And I just said, you know what, I want to stop, and it's not important in my life. Please help me. And I haven't drank ever since. Like, I'll go into bars, and I don't have that urge, So, and then I kind of work myself, because when, like, if I told you you can never have chocolate cake ever again, and you're going to want chocolate cake, so I kind of work myself. I say I'm going to drink again, so I know I'm going to drink again, so I don't want to drink.
Yeah.
So,
playing mind games with yourself.
Not totally cutting yourself off.
No, Rhyno, it's funny you say that, because I think for a lot of people, that's why the 1 day at a time mantra is so popular, because the idea of I'm never going to do that again. I'm never going to feel like that again. It's a big escape for a lot of people. It's how they cope with life in general. And so that's kind of a unique take on it. Like, no, I'll do it again at some point, and then you don't feel that pressure.
Yeah, and I mean, a couple of my buddies, they went to AA and go to AA meetings and all that stuff, or went to rehab and outside of wrestling, personal friends. And I talked to them about it. It's like, man, I want to quit and this and that. And they would take me in a couple meetings, and I would sit around the table, and some people, are just like, that's all they think about, and it's just like, all I thought about today was going and drinking beer and, and this and that. And I feel towards people, and that's why I don't know if I'm, if I am an alcoholic or not. I don't know. All I know is it doesn't benefit me at all. And, so I hear these people, and they're talking about, like, that's all they thought about. And, listening to them, I'm thinking, wow. Yeah, maybe having a little buzz right now wouldn't be a bad situation. Not laughing at that, but like, I don't even think about it.
How does one guy get 4/5 in him in a day? I'm shocked by that. I know you're a big dude, man, but that sounds incredible.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, and if you consume a large amount of alcohol, in a short period of time, your brain tells your lungs to relax. And then your hearts will slowly stop after that, or stop shortly after that.
Wow.
So, there was no resuscitation.
Thank God you have that big-ass rhinoceros heart.
Right.
That's right.
It's the only thing that pulled you through.
Right. No, but one time I'll never forget, man, I chugged a ton. I felt myself going out, and I'm like, oh, shit, this is going to hurt. I wake up on my kitchen floor. I laugh now. Just covered in vomit. Good thing I did not land on my back, or I wouldn't be here to this day. And that's why I say there was something out there watching over me, so.
Well,
but anyway,
what's your week like now? I mean, what kind of training goes into this? What kind of travel? I mean, just describe a basic week while you're in season.
Well, right now, you're holding me up from training.
Sorry, dude.
No, that's okay. Usually I'll get up. I'll either go to church in the morning, eat breakfast, go to church, and then go to work out and tan. And then I'll do a bunch of runarounds. Now it's boating season, so I'm trying to get the boat ready for the water.
Yeah.
So extra large tanning bed. I've seen the standard tanning bed. I can't imagine you fitting in there, but okay.
No, I look at them sometimes like, you want to put me in this? I couldn't fit in that since I was a in first grade.
Rhyno, we'll try not to keep you too much longer, but this is a fascinating discussion, and I'm curious because you've been in the game as long as you have, and there's definitely been a lot of changes. We see it in pro football, in pro wrestling, people much more concerned about brain injuries, concussions, CTE. Have you noticed big changes, and do you think they address it well? I imagine back in the day, like football, it was just like, hey man, here's a shot of something, get out there.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as far as football and stuff. I know in the WWE, since the whole concussion has been brought to light, they're very serious about it. They'll sit you out, the doctors, and that's one thing we have to really, the people that have come before us and the veterans, they paved the way, and it's just like, the WWE, as they continue to grow, they continue to address issues like this. When it come up, they're very big on if you got a concussion or if you even dinged your head and you don't have a concussion, they go through all the steps to make sure you don't have a concussion. Yeah, they go through all the necessary steps, and they won't clear you, or they won't let you wrestle until you're, cleared and they're 100% sure you're okay.
How much of that was a direct reaction to the Chris Benoit situation?
I don't know because I wasn't there, but I know after that, and I know after Eddie Guerrero, I think it was after Eddie or right around the same time, they put together the wellness program. Mm-hmm. So I think the wellness program has been around since 2006. And sometimes it's just like, it seems like every other month I'm going in there and I'm, not just myself, but a ton of other men and women, and just taking a P test. And it's like, guys,
yeah,
I haven't failed one, but, and, believe it or not, you have to download this app. Like if I wanted to take supplements that they sell at GNC or something, I have to make sure there's not something in there that'll make me fail the test.
I think a lot of people, I think that surprises a lot of people.
I think so too.
I think they look at the WWE and just go, oh, okay, it's on. Whatever you want to take, you take. That's surprising.
And if, for example, if you wanted to get like a non-narcotic muscle relaxer, you have to go to your doctor, have them contact their doctor, and their doctor has to sign on to it. You have to have all this stuff approved by their doctor. Yeah. So,
kidding.
It's such a process, and they might even have you be evaluated by their doctor before their doctor even approves of it, So, yeah, it's just like, man, what happened to the days?
Yeah. When anything goes. And Jay mentioned Chris Benoit a second ago, and I know he was a tag team partner of yours. And terrible story. He ended up killing his wife and his child, and then hung himself. It was a huge story back, I don't know, 2007, something like that. When you think back, do you remember Chris fondly, or did you know there were problems there?
I don't know how much I can talk about it, seeing that I'm under contract. All my personal experience has been wonderful. I just hope I still keep his family in my prayers.
Yeah.
That happened in 2007. I left in 2005. So, and I just spoke to Chris a few times on the phone. But if there were any signs, WWE definitely would have intervened. I know that for sure. They would have 110%. They would have shut down operations to, intervene. That's how serious something like that. Even then, so it's a lot of people think it's the
you
Wild
have to
West
say
there.
that. You're under contract. You better be careful. You have to say that.
Yeah, right. No, but all seriousness, if you go back, I definitely, and I've always said this, they care about the brand, but they also do a lot of stuff for charity, not because, and they don't politicize it. There's a lot of stuff they do for just, whether small charities or large charities, they definitely do that. And, and I know they would have definitely intervened, so.
Well, speaking of politics and wrestling, would it have ever occurred to you during Donald Trump's appearance in WrestleMania that guy would be our president someday?
No, not at all. To this day, I was, obviously watching, the polls and everything, with my election and that. I would have, I was literally shocked. With Hillary Clinton, I didn't trust her. Yeah. And this isn't a knock on her. This isn't a knock on the Democratic Party. I think Donald Trump has got the right message as far as more money in your pocket. You know what's best for your life, not us. I think, because the bigger the government, the more, it costs to run, and the more, we're going to have to pay in taxes.
Did you know Trump during his WrestleMania days or otherwise?
No, I never met him, but I'll tell you one thing.
Kidding.
He's definitely made my bank account great again.
Yeah, well, let's see if he can stay out of his own way here.
Yeah.
The stuff going on in the last couple of days. It's
we're overseas. Errors. Yeah, we're overseas, and anybody, even if Hillary Clinton was elected president, I would wish her nothing but the best.
Are we going to see you back in the game then? You ran last November for 15th District Michigan Legislature?
Yes.
Unfortunately lost that one, but it sounds, the way you talk, it sounds like you've got a conservative platform and you're inspired. Are you going to do this again?
Yes. Nice. I'm announcing it first on your show.
On the Detroit Cast.
All right.
Awesome.
So I don't know what or where or when in the near future. But see, and that's one thing. Anybody that's running for office, the key is you got to knock on doors. And I knocked on 14,000 doors, and you become closer to your community. It's unbelievable.
I'm not sure I would have answered the door. If I
looked out the peephole and saw Rhyno standing there, I'd be like, oh God, he's going to gore me. Oh no.
It's funny because I've experienced some interesting things on the door. I've yet to see a topless female answer the door.
Oh, that's too bad.
other friends that are elected officials, they've told me stories, and they've had
that's
that
just
happen.
A thing. That's a thing.
Women,
huh?
Yeah,
what the hell?
They would go knocking on doors, campaigning, and this one time, this lady opened the door, had no top on, and the another time, the kid opened the door. He was like a 2-year-old kid, just swung the door open as the mother was putting on her robe.
Oh, right? Excellent! Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, right. I think there was a lady that was she was naked behind the door, right? Because she opened the door and peeked her head. Yeah, right. And I'm thinking, well, here's my literature. Reach for it. You can get.
Doing the alligator arm thing.
Yeah.
Right. But I've had the door answered by grizzled men with hairy chests, and just wearing nothing but shorts. I'm thinking, you know what? I've come at a bad time. Let me go. No. What's your deal? They would keep me there.
Yeah. That's so funny.
I had one guy just goes, no, thank you, and shuts the door. One guy thought I was a pizza guy.
Yeah, I bet you meet all types. You don't realize how weird people are until you meet them all in the neighborhood.
It's funny because I knock at this door and the door is open, and this guy starts grabbing money off the little end table right there, and I see him, and then he's starting to grab change too, and I'm like, well, he's got to write a check for the donation, and he's really being accurate with how much he wants to donate if he's grabbing change, and he comes to the door, he goes, oh, you're not the pizza guy. I go, no, I'm just running for office. I was trying to get your vote, but if I knew but now that I know you're ordering pizza, I'm going to invite myself in.
Hang out and wait.
So,
well, Rhyno, we've taken a ton of your time, and we just need a couple more minutes because we have to ask you about your finishing move, the gore.
Right.
I was watching
violent as shit,
dude. It's incredible. I was watching a video of you putting Jericho through like a video screen. And
that
the
was
Rock,
the old Titantron,
dude. That I don't remember where that was, but I think it was in Grand Rapids here in Michigan when you took the Rock out with that move. And I swear to God, it looked like you broke him in half.
It was Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love the simplicity of it. The raw power.
Right. 0 to 60 in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
An ultimate collision. But if you YouTube, there's some independent shows where I've gored some some young up and comers, and it's pretty sick and violent. So,
dude, I don't know how you do that without killing someone. Honestly, I
try not to.
Yeah, I mean, did you come up with that move? Was that something you came up with, or?
I'll tell you the story real quick. Goldberg started doing it, and got it over. Edge started doing it in, I want to say, 98. And then some people would chant Goldberg. Now, Tracy Smothers, when I was in ECW, my first match in there, he goes, can you spear me? And I go, well, Adam started doing it. I'm afraid the crowd will start chanting Goldberg, and the boys in the locker room will, call me a move stealer.
Yeah.
He goes, listen, I didn't ask you what you thought the boys might say. I asked you if you could do it. And I go, yeah, I could do it. Because back in 96, when I was doing Independence, this guy asked me to do it. And I did it. And I thought, well, this is a terrible move, right? And I'm not taking any credit for inventing it, because it was a move people would use back in the day or whatever. But Goldberg really got it over, right? Give credit where credit is due.
Sure.
So that night, I went out and I speared Tracy Smothers, and a few people chanted Goldberg from the crowd. So after that, nobody in the locker room said anything. So I think I started using it right after that. And when I went to WWE, Steve Lombardi told me I should use it as a finish. So then that was,
What I know,
so
this is
history.
It's kind of a tall order, but is there any chance, man, if we got together, you could teach me to gore? Because
I would love to,
dude. I'm not very manly at all, but if I
he's not.
Yeah, but if there was someone that I was a few feet from and things were going down, I'd love to be able to pull out the gore move and take them down to Chinatown.
Just run really hard and fast at them and hope they don't move, because you're hitting whatever's behind them.
Well, we've got our buddy here, Eric, who works on the show with us. He's a huge wrestling fan. He's one of the pay-per-view guys and all that.
Yeah.
And I asked him yesterday, I said, dude, if we ever do something with Rhyno, like do a bar remote or something and bring listeners out, would you let him gore you? And he's like, yeah, I probably would. Would you gore E for us if we got together someday?
I would love to.
Oh, hell yeah.
Excellent. And then last question. E, you had a question for him. Like I said, he's the super fan here. I can see he's sweating already.
He's getting nervous.
Leaning up to the microphone. This is a big moment for him.
Mr. Rhinoceros.
Mr. Rhinoceros, sir, please, if you wouldn't mind.
Whatever.
Go ahead,
E. Sorry, dude. I don't know. I just wanted to ask personally, like, I watched a lot of ECW back in the day, and I know you had a lot of battles with Sandman. And I'm just I'm just curious, what type of man, what kind of dude was Sandman? Like, as far as a person, as far as wrestling character, did you have a relationship with him, or do you still talk to him?
Yeah. What you see is what you get. He showed up drunk and left drunk and wrestled drunk, and he was a very kind human being, and he went out there and he worked hard. One time he showed up, he'd just woken up, and he told me, he goes, man, I haven't had anything to drink yet. I'm sober. And I literally looked at him and I said, boy, this is going to be tough.
Awesome.
Usually it's the other way around. If someone showed up and said, man, I'm drunk, you're like, this is going to be tough. But with Sandman, you did not want to wrestle him sober. Because that's when the cane shots are in the side of the head. This and that. When he's drunk, his aim is dead on.
But technically, did you think, like, as a wrestler, was he, like, do you think he held his own? I mean, he was obviously huge in ECW. I mean,
for his character and stuff, you're not going to go out there, do tackle drop downs or hip tosses or anything like that. It's going to be a brawl, and believe it or not, he'll pull out the average wrestling move here and there, and would shock you in the fans. But he definitely wrestled, how his character would wrestle.
Gotcha.
Rhyno, thank you so much for the time, man. This has been really great talking to you, man. I had no idea how deep you went. It's been a lot of fun. I hope we get to do it again.
Yeah, and hey, let us know what your plans are in terms of running for office, and we'll maybe try to help you get the word out.
Yeah, for sure. I greatly appreciate that. So I definitely enjoyed it, and if any of your listeners are thinking about that, I would do it. It's really fun to be involved in, and if you can make someone's life a little easier or a little bit better, it's very rewarding.
Well, we'd love to have you out at a bar event sometime. And actually, we're just down the street from you. We'd love to have you in studio sometime, too.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah, well, we'll keep in touch, man. And thank you so much for the time. Wish you continued success out there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the understanding on my schedule being tough and sometimes getting, the okay to do stuff. So
no problem.
Yeah. Absolutely,
take care, man.
Thanks,
All right,
buddy.
guys. Be good.
You
Have a
too.
good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. This just makes me want to jump in the ring.
Hell yeah. Makes me want to gore somebody.
Hell yes.
Somebody in this room.
Stand over there. Let me gore you really quick. I don't have my professional technique down yet. I can't wait for Rhyno to teach me. I'm going to gore you so fucking
It's
hard.
basically a leave your feet NFL linebacker just sticking a running back
like right in
around
the
the gut.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I can't wait till I get professional training on how to gore. I'm going to gore everybody. Everybody that meets me is getting fucking gored.
That's how you're greeting them from now on?
From now on, you're just getting gored.
Cool, dude.
All of you.
I like Rhyno.
Yeah, I did too, man. I was a little nervous because we're such hack wrestling guys.
Yeah.
And it just always helps to have.
Well, and I wasn't about to try to pretend that I'm have this knowledge in wrestling. So
yeah,
it's cool that he had other things to talk about.
Hell yes,
real guy,
smart guy. I wonder if he worries about some of the concussion things that you see with. He's been in that a long time. I mean, he sounds great, obviously, but boy, that's scary stuff.
Hell yeah!
Thanks for listening, and be sure to check out DetroitCast.com for more.